Hi Guava Bees, and welcome to another episode of the Dear Guava Bean podcast. Remember, submit your questions in the sandbox or on our website and we could be answering yours in the next episode. I'm Francesca and with me is Claire.
Hello.
And today's question is from Sabina, who asks, Dear Guava Bean, I'd really like to grow my business and I know I need to be active on social media for that. But I'm extremely shy when it comes to social media, and to be honest, I just don't like it. I've never even had Instagram. I feel very strongly about it. What should I do? Well, Sabina, I guess this is quite a not controversial topic, but one that maybe is quite divisive. Some people really love social media. Some people really don't use it at all. Me personally, I have very recently made the decision to come off social media for business purposes. I don't really use it. And personally, I no longer have a Facebook account or Instagram or anything like that. So for me, I would suggest that if you don't really like it and it's not something you've ever really been interested in, I would definitely say that it's not imperative that you have social media to grow a successful freelancing business. I don't know. What do you think, Claire? What's your stance on social media?
I'm also very divided on it. Personally, for my freelance work, I've never used social media. I keep my personal and professional life very separate. And so for me, social media is for connecting with family and friends, staying in touch. I don't use it at all to find clients. Now, obviously, Guava Bean has a social media account, but that is what I consider professional. That's business. Just from my personal experience, I've never found clients through social media. I don't know many freelancers who have. To me, social media is a long-term strategy. It's not something that you can set up and start getting clients right away. What I would really like to know more of is, here Sabina says, I'd like to grow my business. I would like to know exactly what that means. I assume that most likely she wants more clients. That could also mean growing your income, growing your email list, just having more network connections. And so I think being clear on how you want to grow your business will help you decide what you actually need to do to grow it. Because if you need more clients and clients quickly, then social media is not the right tool for you. You'd be better off browsing for jobs online or pitching to clients. Especially if you consider yourself introverted or shy and you feel strongly that social media is not comfortable for you. I don't think I've ever found a client through social media. Have you?
No, I don't think so. And it's funny that Sabina asks this now, but it's perfect timing really for me to be thinking about this as a question, because it was only very recently that I actually assessed my usage of social media. For me, business and personally, I found it to be a complete time-wasting activity, being on social media all the time. I almost think because we're expected to be online all the time now, it's actually quite rebellious not to be, in a way. And so it can feel daunting to say, I don't want to use social media, but I want to grow a successful business. And like you said, Claire, it really depends on what you want from it. I think that social media can be good if you want to stay in touch with people and build a relationship with them. And you quite rightly said that is a long-term strategy in a way, for want of a better term. It's not really a strategy. It's just kind of connecting with people and networking. But personally, I've never had a social media strategy where I have planned posts, and created content specifically to grow my freelancing business. I've tried it and it hasn't worked for me simply because I don't enjoy social media. Now, obviously it's different for everybody, but, as I said, I've been doing this for a long time and not once can I say that social media actually helped me secure a client. It can be a good way to kind of go, hey, I'm going to follow you because we met at this networking event, or because I like your blog and maybe we could work together or something like that. But no, I can't say that it's ever actually been valuable, or certainly any more valuable than, say, just building my business through referrals, for example. and other ways, like you say, growing your email list and that kind of thing. It does depend on what kind of freelancer you are and what you want from social media. When do you think would be a good time to decide that social media is maybe a good choice for your business? Do you think that there is actually something that tells you that, okay, actually, I think I should maybe start a social media strategy?
That's a really good question. I think the only time where I would say it's necessary to have social media is when you actually set up a real company that you want everybody to know about. If you set up a business that you want to be an international business, you want to have as many followers as possible, you want to grow a presence, like an online brand and a real personality brand. Like I know some people who are coaches or who are photographers, and they build their business around their personality and their brand. And so in those situations, you definitely need social media to express your personality and to showcase your work. Only in those situations, I would say, if you really need it, then you would go for it. But if you're not trying to build a big brand, if you're not trying to be everywhere all the time, if you're not trying to be an influencer or stand out as like someone as an expert in this field, then I would again go back to thinking about, what do you really want? Is it just clients? Because if it's just clients, there are much easier ways, in my opinion, to go about getting clients.
I agree. I think that, as I touched on earlier, social media can actually be quite an unproductive use of time as a freelancer. So, for example, if you're looking for clients, I think we keep coming back to this because, as freelancers, we want to try and get clients and build our businesses, and that's the way we do it. But social media, it doesn't really help, because I think certainly in my experience, you find yourself scrolling, looking for potential clients or putting posts out there. And to be honest, without a strategy, you don't really get a lot of attention, if at all. And even with a strategy, it takes a long time to build up a following, and then you have to commit to keep producing content. And, without spending time on a marketing strategy, which is a full-time job in itself, I don't really think you're going to get the results that you're after. I think what's much more useful is, like you say, Claire, deciding what you want from, your time on social media, almost maybe limiting the time that you do spend. So, for example, you could set yourself maybe an hour in the morning just to, check your socials and maybe, reach out to people who you're building a relationship with, but don't make it spammy. Don't be like, hey, I'm a freelancer. Do you want to work with me? I don't think that works. I think it comes across quite tacky. I just think social media can be good at building genuine relationships. But other than that, set aside time for better client getting strategies. Like, for example, LinkedIn, I guess, could be seen as a social media platform, but it's very tailored towards business. It's not really somewhere where you share your personal stuff. I think it's more kind of checking out companies, checking out job openings, joining groups, which can be a great way to find like-minded freelancers and also clients as well, and spending time kind of sending pitches, creating content maybe on your own website as well that other people may find useful. It can be a great way to showcase your skills. But just plain old social media on its own, I don't think can be that valuable. Unless, like I already said, unless you kind of make it into a full-time job where you're actually creating like a serious marketing strategy. But that takes a long time to pay off, and sometimes quite a lot of money if you're running paid ads and things, which isn't good for new freelancers, in my opinion.
In the Guava Bean online course for starter freelancers, there's one chapter all about finding jobs and clients. And in that chapter, I break down like the 5 most effective strategies for finding clients. And social media and websites is one of those strategies. But there are still other strategies that can be just as effective. And so what I advise people to do in the course is to try out each strategy and then find what works for you and then get really good at that. Because you only really need 1 or 2 strategies to find clients. And then if you get really good at those, you don't need social media. You don't need anything else. For me, those 2 strategies were at the beginning browsing for jobs online in job websites, and then later on referrals. And I get all my clients from referrals these days. I've never used social media at all. And it works for me because, like Sabina, I am also very shy. I wouldn't know what to post on social media at all. So it just never really occurred to me to try to find clients on social media. I never even went there. I just focused on the things that I knew I could do well, which is making clients happy and creating like really strong pitches and proposals.
I think this is something we touch on quite a lot because I think it's so important. I think kind of maintaining and having a good relationship with clients when you get them does lead to referrals. It helps you strengthen those important skills as a freelancer, like writing the good proposals and marketing yourself in that kind of way, rather than just kind of posting out into the ether where anybody you're hoping will see it and contact you. And I just don't think that's as useful. I personally also get all of my clients from referrals now. And I think that's something you can't necessarily expect in the beginning because you need to have worked with clients first. But it's a good way of getting clients later on down the line. And the way you do that is really just being good at what you do, making sure you always tie up any loose ends, making sure that clients are happy with you and that you're easy to work with. And I think that stuff is more effective when you work on those skills than any posting on social media. And quite frankly, when you are on social media, you almost feel like you have to be posting all the time. And I think that's why it ends up being such a waste of time. And also as well, I think it's a kind of a common misconception that you can't be successful unless you're on social media. It's just not true. I didn't have any social media accounts when I started my freelancing business. I didn't even think about it. Much like you, Claire, I started out on job websites like Upwork, or at the time it was Odesk, and similar ones like that, People Per Hour and things. And just having a solid profile on those platforms where they are literally there to help you find work rather than just being social media, which is just general. There's millions of people that post on there, so easily your posts can get lost. It makes more sense to spend time where people are looking for freelancers, just building up those reviews and testimonials. That's much better use of your time, I think, than wasting a lot of time on social media. If you don't have a plan, it does end up being quite a lot of wasted time. Another thing is that you don't have to be on all of the social media platforms. That's another thing I hear about a lot, is that people think that I have to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, but you don't, because then you're not working on yourself and your business. You're worrying about what you should be posting on these platforms when really it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as people say it does, I don't think.
I agree. I don't want to discourage people from trying social media because I think it can be a very powerful tool if you know how to use it right. But that's a big if, because nobody learns how to use social media in school. There's not a class that teaches you how to be great at social media. It's kind of one of those things that either you're going to study it by yourself, maybe pay for a course and go through it and actually learn how to use social media properly, or you're going to have to learn it through trial and error, which takes a lot of time. I don't want to discourage someone from trying social media, but I also think that encouraging anyone to try a strategy that they don't like is just a recipe for disaster, because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to put 100% effort into it. You're not going to feel happy about doing it, and it's going to come across in the work you do. Eventually, it's going to feel like a drag. It's going to be really annoying, and you're just going to not want to do it, and you're going to feel even worse because you feel like a failure for not doing social media when you feel like you have to. And so I think what we're really trying to say here is that social media is great if you know how to use it, but it's not good for everyone. And if you're the kind of person who is shy and doesn't like social media and has never even had an Instagram account, then I would say that you should forget about social media altogether and work on another strategy. Maybe put out a blog or create your own website. You can create a blog post. For example, if you're a graphic designer and you want more clients, you could create a blog post called How to Design the Perfect Blog Graphic. And then you could go into different Facebook groups and you can share it with people who would be interested. You could say, hey, if anyone wants to design their own blog graphics, I wrote a really cool blog that shows you how to do that. And that's one way that you can interact with people. You can connect with them. You can get clients without having to go through all the work of setting up an Instagram account and putting out content on a regular basis. I think if you really think about what strategy suits your personality the best, that's going to be the right strategy strategy for you, regardless of what other people are doing.
Exactly. And also, as well as kind of suiting your personality, I think you have to just listen to your gut. You know, what makes you feel good? What makes you excited? And also, what do you actually dread doing? You know, Sabina said she doesn't like social media. You know, don't do what makes you uncomfortable, because it's just pointless. Like you say, Claire, it's if you don't actually want to do it, then don't feel like you're forced to or you have to. It's your business. You know, there's been freelancers for decades, but social media is relatively new. So it's not saying that just because everyone's on social media now that you have to be. You don't. There are plenty of other ways that you can grow your business. You know, I think that if you've never really been a user of social media as well, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve as well. So it's hard enough being a new freelancer and, you know, everything else that you're having to think about, but then having to learn how social media works, how people interact and engage, and then thinking of a strategy. I mean, that is 2 full-time jobs. You know, it takes a lot of hard work being a freelancer as it is. And I think it is just making your life harder if it's not something you even want to do. Focus your attention and your positive energy on something that you prefer. As we've said, you know, social media can be valuable in certain ways, but if you just don't enjoy it, then there's no pressure to use it. Absolutely not, no pressure at all. So let's say, for example, Sabina maybe wants to try social media because, like you said, you know, you can try it, see if it's for you. And if it's not, then you can move on to something else. What do we think would be kind of some good tips, or maybe if Sabina wanted to try, or any other freelancers thinking about using social media, what would be some good tips on starting out with social media to see if it's right for you?
Okay, so the first thing that I would say, the first tip would be to think about where the clients are. The first thing you want to do, if your clients are not on Instagram, you don't want to go on Instagram. So you have to go wherever you feel like the clients are. And so if you feel like Facebook has the clients that you need, then go to Facebook. If you feel that Instagram has the clients that you need, go to Instagram. So that's the first tip. You got to go where the clients are. And then the next thing you got to do is you absolutely have to learn that platform. And one thing I can do is I can include a couple links. I know this really good free Instagram training that I can link to, and that will teach you a little bit about setting up your profile and how to reach your target customers. Whatever profile or whatever platform that you pick, you got to become very fluent in that platform. You got to know it like the back of your hand. You got to set up your profile. You got to start following people. You got to just jump in 100%. If you decide that you're going to give social media a try, you can't be gingerly about it. You can't just tiptoe in, because there are other people who are doing it and who are going full out. And so the first thing I would do is find the right platform and then research the people who are doing really well on that platform. Maybe other freelancers in your niche, see what they do for social media, what kind of posts they put out, what type of content they run, and then have some kind of strategy. Don't just start and hope for the best, but have a rough plan. Like every Monday, I'm going to post inspirational quotes, and then every Wednesday, I'm going to promote my blog. Whatever it is, have a plan and a strategy for what you're going to post on what days. And so you're actually going about it in a way that's organized, and that if you do it this way, you won't end up wasting too much time. One thing that I do for Guava Bean is we always batch our social media in advance. And so we always think about what we want to post for the next month, and we collect up all our content and we schedule it a month in advance. So we're not rushing. So there's no, hurry or deadlines. And so we're not scrambling to think, what are we going to post today? It's already done for us. And that is a huge part of making social media work for you, instead of having it take over your life and become this machine that just eats up all your time.
There's some great points there. I think that's so valuable, because I think a lot of us do spend a lot of time on social media kind of floundering, not knowing where to go, what to do. Yeah, some solid advice. I think it's like anything when you're building your business and growing it, you have to have a plan in place. Otherwise, you're sort of not really doing anything valuable, or you can't measure your progress either. I don't really use social media, as I've said, but a couple of things I would add is that anything that you are posting, just be human and make real connections. I know this is something we probably say in every episode, but it's so true. true. I think, if you're coming across salesy or, you're almost distancing yourself from the stuff that you're posting, it can come across very salesy. And I think anybody who you're communicating with might think that you're just after something. You just want the work, or you just want something, rather than sort of giving some of your own advice or just having a good conversation with somebody, which I think is really important. And also maybe you can utilize some social media tools as well. So if you are batching content, for example, there are some great tools you can use. So obviously I know things like Facebook have like scheduling features, but say for example, if you want to recycle your content and keep using it so you feel like you're not wasting lots of time posting loads of things and it's eating up a big chunk of your time every week, there are lots of things you can use like Meet Edgar or Recur Post or Smarter Queue, which almost make you build your own library of content that you can reuse again and again. So actually within a few clicks, you can schedule tons of posts, weeks or even months worth of content without much thought. So you can still make the content your own. It doesn't come across automated or robotic or anything, but it's just taking that burden away from you each week where you're having to schedule a chunk of time to market yourself when, the tools are just making that a lot easier for you. But other than that, I think your advice was solid.
Yeah, I love that mention about the tools. I totally forgot that. We also use a lot of tools to manage our social media. It makes things a lot easier.
So other than, sort of trying to get started with social media, I would just say that if something you want to invest in and you want to grow your business, definitely take a look in the sandbox and look at the advice we're giving you in regards to kind of growing your client base and what you can do to get new clients. Because I think this is really what it boils down to, isn't it? I think that social media can be really helpful maybe if you are looking at being a social media manager, for example, or like a community manager or something like that. That can be a really useful way to prove your skills. But other than that, I wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself in terms of spending a lot of time on social media personally. What do you think, Claire?
I definitely agree with all of that. And I guess the final thing I will just say is if you feel that you really need social media and that it's like a missing piece of your business and you have to be active and you still feel strongly that you don't want to do it, then I would even think about outsourcing it and finding someone who loves social media and who can do it at a nice, affordable price. You might even offer to do a service exchange with them. Maybe you can write blog posts for them and they can do social media for you. You can find another freelancer in the sandbox or even in the Facebook group. You can just ask and see if there's someone out there who is interested in social media and who wants to help you with this in exchange for something else. And so that's what I do if ever I get stuck and I really don't want to do something, but I know I have to do it. I'm like, I'm just going to delegate this to someone who actually wants the job because I know they'll do a much better job at it than I will.
I love this. Talk about like supporting a fellow freelancer as well. I think this is an incredible piece of advice. Something that I would definitely do, I think. If there's some things I don't want to do. For example, I'm with Sabina. I don't really like social media myself, but that's amazing. Some people literally cannot live without social media. So yeah, I think lifting each other up as freelancers and just exchanging your services can be an amazing way also to get referrals as well. You can help support each other's businesses that way. I love it.
Okay, I think we've wrapped this one up pretty nicely. Any other thoughts or notes?
Yeah, the only thing that I would really like to just recap on is, try social media. If you don't like it, then don't feel like you have to use it. You really can grow your own successful business without being on social media. Definitely try it if you think you might find it valuable, but you can still be a success in so many other ways. There's been lots of ways that you can grow your business as a freelancer. So don't feel like this is the last resort because it really isn't. Just keep doing your job as a freelancer, making clients happy, and the work will follow. We hope this episode has helped you figure out what to do next. Now it's your turn, Guava Bees. Have you got a burning question that only Guava Bean can help answer? Submit your question in the sandbox or on the website and we could be answering yours in the next episode. That's all from us. To all creatives, rebels and digital nomads, keep working online and living free.
Want to know more about the Freelancer Sandbox? Visit guavabean.com/sandbox to start your free trial now.